friends, this is Hedda. The last month of the year is almost upon us, and for me, December means exams and deadlines. But it also means Christmas is approaching, and I want my December spreads to reflect that. But first, let's have a look at November. I didn't make a video for November, but here's a flip through of my spreads for the month. My theme was yellow fall leaves, and I used pictures I'd printed out from my fall mood board on Pinterest, washi tape, scrap paper, and stickers. The monthly calendar was the perfect size, so I'm happy with that. I was a bit worried since this is the first time I used a traveler's notebook insert as my monthly journal. I only made 2 weekly spreads, one for each of the last 2 weeks of the month. Most of the other spreads are journaling pages where I wrote a lot about my feelings and ideas and all that good stuff. It felt good to give myself complete freedom to fill the pages however I want. After all, using this traveler's notebook is a new experience for me and an experiment, and I don't want to limit my page using anyway. So I ended up filling almost half the insert with my November spreads. Before we get into the December spreads, I just want to make a quick pitch for my Redbubble store. I have a few different pattern designs in my store, and you can, for example, get this banana pouch, which is perfect to carry stationery in. You can find a link to my store in the description box. I think these pouches would make great Christmas presents for stationery-obsessed friends or family members. So if you have time, go check out my store, that would make me really happy. For my December spreads, I went for the classic Christmassy color scheme. However, I honestly don't like all the over-the-top green and red decorations that much. I prefer the natural greens from Christmas trees and spruce forests rather than the colorful candy canes and bells and Santa themes. But red will always be a Christmas color, so I found a way to incorporate it anyway. I decided to keep my cover page quite clean and simple, but don't be fooled, it took forever to make the wreath. I got the idea for the wreath after surfing on Pinterest to find out what on earth you even put in wreaths, but I think I finally figured it out. I used 5 different Tombow dual brush pens in the green colors 192 and 158, the red color 885, the brown colors 977 and 899, and the warm gray color N49, and I think these worked quite well together. I used a Posca paint marker to add the gold details, which I think worked quite well. I've normally used Finetec watercolors for gold details, but I wanted to stick to just pens and markers for this month, and since I had one lying around, it worked out perfectly. I lettered December in a 0.8 fine liner, and I really like the non-brush pen look it creates. It just feels a bit more minimalistic and clean in a way. I then went over the drawing with my Muji gel pen in size 0.38 to outline all the details and give some depth to the drawing. I'm quite happy with how the cover page turned out. I was able to keep it mostly green with just slight hints of red and gold. As you can see, there is quite a lot of ghosting in this traveler's notebook insert, but it hasn't started to bother me yet, so fingers crossed. The next page is my monthly calendar and overview. I guess I decided to torture myself by making branches in the same style as the wreath, which I saw variations of on Pinterest. I'll also put a link to my December inspiration board in the description box so that you can check it out. I decided to make one branch on the bottom and one on the top because it made sense with the shape of the calendar, given that December is actually spread across 6 weeks. I wasn't sure where I'd fit in the word December, but I ended up putting it all the way on the right side of the page. Looking back, I would probably add even more details to the branches, but hey, I can do that whenever I feel like it throughout the month of December. I'd like to mention that the clips in the intro are actually from January, not from November. I went to Vienna with some friends and I realized I never actually used the video clips for anything, and I figured since it's the end of the year, it was time to use them. It's rainy and grey in Oslo anyway at the moment, so there is not much pretty cityscape to look at. I really loved going to Vienna, so I'm happy I was able to finally use the video clips for something. My December spreads are quite a contrast to my recent spreads. Since July, really, I've been experimenting with a sort of scrapbook style, but there's just something about December that makes me want to go more back to the basics and use what I have of pens and markers. Also, I don't think I own any Christmas-themed stickers or ephemera because I don't collect holiday-themed stationery at all. I guess I just don't like having stationery lying around that I'm only able to use once a year. I've burned myself before getting Halloween themed stickers only to end up having too much and having to save it for another year. It's unnecessary and such a clear example of stationery addiction and unhealthy consumerism. This month is already centered around consuming and buying as much as possible, and I find it really gross. I don't want to add to the madness by getting holiday-themed stationery. I hope that we can all think twice before buying something just because it's holiday-themed. Not to mention thinking twice before buying lots of unnecessary stuff to give away to friends and family. Personally, I find it much more heartwarming to receive something homemade, edible, or something that's actually useful. We as a species own too much stuff. Let's all try to limit our consumption a little bit this year and take care of our emotional relationships to each other instead. The next spread is my to-do list and also my habit tracker. I decorated this spread almost exactly like the calendar spread. I'm not going to lie, at this point I was really sick of drawing branches and pine needles and winter berries, but that didn't stop me from continuing though, because consistency is key to a good monthly theme. I don't think these branches are particularly hard to draw. I kind of just sketched 2 squiggly lines for the branches and then drew the berries and pine following the branch. Perhaps it doesn't look super realistic, but no Christmas decorations look realistic, so I'm fine with that. I rarely use my emoji pen for drawing, but in this case it was actually perfect because it flows so easily across the paper compared to my other fine liners, which I find it harder to make quick light strokes with. This might just be in my head, but that's what I've experienced at least. The left page is for my monthly to-do list, which I also split in half so that I could have one column for my personal stuff and then one column for university related things I need to get done, like maybe write my master's thesis. The page on the right is my habit tracker. I managed to fit 6 small calendars on the page, which I think is a good number for habits to keep track of in 1 month. I could never understand people who try to track 20 different habits. That's like all you do in a day. Anyway, those are all the spreads I made for the month of December. Before I leave you to the final flip through, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to my channel for more journaling content, and as always, I hope you're having a lovely day. See you next time. Still I can't ignore the pain. It's the